Yo, what's up, everyone, and welcome back to the Locked On 49ers Squad Show. I'm your host, Eric Triple E. Engel. You may know me as the former producer for the Murph and Mac Morning Show on KNBR. And today, the 49ers had a really tough time running the football with Christian McCaffrey again, and it really did not help the offense get on track today against the Los Angeles Rams.
Hey everyone, it's Dwayne Boyd, four-time Super Bowl champion. And today with the 49ers, it looked like, and it was, a broken defense. And the best way to fix a broken defense, and with a lot of players who haven't played a lot together, is you have to simplify the package that you put in for them, because they had too many errors on getting lined up. Guys was out of place, and it makes it hard on playing defense.
And you got to credit Sean McVay for what he did to that San Francisco 49ers defense. Oh, by the way, I'm Brian Peacock of Locked On 49ers. Let's go.
Today's Locked On 49ers Squad Show starts right now.
To all the faithful, it's the 49ers Squad. Everything San Francisco 49ers every week. Covering all the big hits and game-changing plays from Levi Stadium. The way only the Locked On Podcast Network can. For those faithful to the Bay, the 49ers Squad Show starts now.
And thanks so much, everyone, for joining us on today's episode of the Locked On 49ers Squad Show. Shout out to all our everydayers tuning in today and always checking out Locked On 49ers as your first source of 49ers news. And today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. And this was a tough one for the 49ers. I mean, we all tried to keep the juju going, taking the Rams in this week's squad show earlier, and it didn't quite go our way as far as the juju and the voodoo magic rolling with the 49ers when we pick against them. Today they just get absolutely shelled, 42-26. And this one, I mean, it felt like the 49ers just dug themselves way too deep of a hole to start this game. I mean, coming back from 21-0 is a monumental effort in the NFL. It just felt like they got behind that eight ball so much that they were just playing catch up, using Mac Jones as turned into him to be the guy to bring you back from this massive deficit. Just not a good situation for the 49ers. And Dwayne, you talked about the defense being shorthanded, and obviously you find yourself down 21-0. You can put a lot of that at the feet of the defense, right? How did the 49ers get down so big so early?
How they got down so big so early was the problem with stopping the 13 personnel, the three tight ends and one wide receiver that Sean put on the field against them. And it was hard for the 49ers to get lined up against that formation. And one thing that you got to do down the red zone is, who do they go to the most? We talked about it last week. Number 17. Okay, I saw too many times that down the red zone, he made too many critical catches, because once you get down in the red zone and Matthew Stafford has a hot guy, that he's going to him, and he went to him. And the thing the 49ers didn't do it was they didn't double team him, okay? They should have bracketed a couple of times, and they didn't do it. And when we saw one time, they gave up a touchdown when the corner came off when Matthew Stafford got out the pocket. Why should he come off his coverage? He should be plastering the guy. It was an easy touchdown. All those touchdowns that the Rams made today, they made them look easy.
Everything was too easy. Yeah, that's kind of the biggest takeaway for me in this game. And it was twofold for me, because I think Sean McVay, as I mentioned in the open, did a really good job of taking advantage of certain matchups, but he didn't need to go after Luke Gifford. He didn't have to look for the rookie nickel, because his guys were just better than the 49ers guys on this day too. And the 49ers weren't really good stopping the run, especially the edge, setting the edge. Is that where maybe they were missing Michael Williams more than we even thought they might be? And then, when it comes to Puka Nacua making a play, it was also a great call with the wide receiver screen when Salah was getting aggressive with a little bit of a blitz, and then making those defenders miss in the secondary, and then, getting in the end zone for a touchdown. And then you mentioned you have Malik Mustafa, who's man up on Devontae Adams in the red zone. This is one of the best red zone receivers of all time. And so that's just a bad matchup. And I wonder how that play ended up that way. And I wonder if there's something to it, because what you're saying, Dwayne, about, simplifying the defense, I feel like there's got to be something there. And clearly there's a relationship between defensive line and the players the 49ers are missing up front and the guys in the secondary not looking good all at the same time, right?
Well, going back to was also the pass rush wasn't there again today. The only sack that they had, it came off of a stunt. Okay, they ran a TE stunt with the tackle going first, and the end came inside, and they was fortunate enough to get a sack off of that. And when they wasn't running those games, he had too much time. Okay, and once I've said it 1,000 times that quarterbacks don't like not knowing where the rushes are coming from. When you're running games, it mixes it up, so they don't know who's going to break free, and they don't know where to move in the pocket. So they need to fix that. And another thing too, they kind of gets me when you get guys that's not speed rushers. Okay, do you think that the 49ers have speed rushers on the field now? No, because Bosa was the only guy that was a speed rusher. You look at them line up, they're lined up, the ends, the guys that's rushing the passer, they're lined up 4 yards outside the tackle. Okay, and if the quarterback is dropping 8 yards and you line up 4 yards, by the time you run 4 yards to get to him, he's got too much time before you even make contact with the tackle. And the tackle knows that, hey, these guys not going to beat me inside, because I watch, they're trying to spin, they're trying to make inside moves, but they don't have an inside move. So they need to tighten those ends down on the offensive tackles, and also on the inside guys, they're playing too wide too. You got two tackles inside lined up inside line on offensive tackle, okay? Once they should be lined up on the guards to make it a lot tighter. So the guy only knows what he can only go one way. He's going to rush up the field, and they need to fix those little things. And that's a lot that's coming up that I think if they just tighten the tackles down, tighten the ends down, they can create more rush.
Yeah, and I think they could also maybe defend the run a little bit better too if they were plugging up those holes. I mean, you saw the Rams going, using that C gap a lot today with Kyren Williams and Blake Corum, and both guys had nice days. 73 yards on 14 carries for Williams and 56 yards on 13 carries for Corum. Kyren Williams 5.2 yards per rush, Blake Corum 4.3 yards per rush. Williams also had a couple of touchdowns, and it seemed like every time these guys touched the ball, they were, gaining positive yardage or ripping off a big chunk play. And it just kept the Rams offense on schedule all day long. 42 points, man. I mean, that's a ton of points. They scored a touchdown in every single quarter of this game. And the 49ers definitely didn't do themselves very many favors either with, some of these matchup situations that we're talking about. But it's also a little more than the matchups, right? I mean, this team is so decimated, injury riddled, all up and down this roster. And you really saw that, I think, today in just the lack of talent that the 49ers have right now. And McVay did have a good scheme. He really let the tight ends shine today. All 4 tight ends on the Rams had receptions. 2 of them had touchdowns. And that was something that we did talk about earlier in the week, where we kind of came on here and said, you just got to shut down Nakua and Adams. And if you can contain those guys, then the tight ends probably aren't gonna hurt you a ton. But Dwayne, you kind of pushed back on that a little bit when we had our Wednesday show, and you said that the tight ends you thought were going to be a big deal in this one, and they ended up being a major factor for the Rams. So what did you see in this 49ers defense that allowed the tight ends to really run wild for the Rams today?
Well, that's always the alignment. They came out and they lined up with 3 wide receivers to one side, and there was no force. And the problem with that was once they line up 3 wide receivers, the corner has to come up and play. He's really a D gap player, okay? So the end should go to head up on the tight end that he's lined up on the number 1 tight end on the line of scrimmage, and the safety should be lined up in a 3-by-3, sitting on the hip of the defensive end that's lined up over the tight end in the win position. So that's one thing that hurt them. Okay, what I saw was the defensive end didn't adjust. He stayed inside arm free. So the number 2 tight end off the line of scrimmage, he had a free shot working up on the second level, and all you have to do is take the outside tight end, and he's blocking the corner. It's off to the races all day long. So that's one thing that I saw that went on in the game. And They never fixed it. I'm pretty sure that it had to come down to the guy who's really should adjust that is the strong safety and the linebacker. They're the two guys that have to adjust that that trips formation, and the end should know it too. But it wasn't happening, and they was giving up big yardage on that, and they got hit inside too on a couple of plays too that shouldn't have happened.
And a lot of that, I think, at least some of it can be attributed to a lot of these guys not playing with each other very often this year. I mean, this defense has been a constant rotating door in a lot of positions. And one position that's obviously happened a lot with this year is the linebacker position, missing Fred Warner. And that's a major piece of your defense. But I'm kind of wondering, where the hell is Nick Martin, man? Like, the 49ers went out and drafted this guy with a relatively high pick. He's nowhere to be seen. This guy's on the back of a milk carton. Brian, what the hell, man? What's going on? Where's Nick Martin?
Yeah, and there's a couple of things at play, and it's funny because you watch the way that Kyle Shanahan uses his offense, and you have the OW, the fullback, the offensive weapon in Kyle Juszczyk, and obviously Christian McCaffrey is a bigger factor as a receiver right now than he is a runner. And even as much as he touches the ball, even as a runner, he's still more valuable as a pass catcher because the 49ers, he's basically their quasi number one wide receiver right now. And receptions are just more valuable than carries. But Kyle Shanahan being able to throw out of heavy personnel, out of base personnel, get you in your heavy base personnel on defense and throw against that. And that's what Sean McVay did with all his tight ends on the field against the 49ers. And so Sean McVay is like, well, I don't want Bryce Huff rushing. He's the only guy that can rush the passer on this football team. So let's keep him on the sideline. Let's go 13 personnel, get 3 tight ends on the field. I like all of our tight ends, and I like them all better than I like their strong side backer and Luke Gifford, And so let's attack them there. And even when they missed one, they're like, well, we still got this guy. Yeah. Let's just go back at him again. And they went at him again, and then they got him the second time, right? And so that's why you got to credit Sean McVay knowing where his matchups were, and it's kind of the name of the game right now in the NFL. It's not quite being completely positionless, but it's like, let's get the other team. Let's know the rules that is going to work against the defense, because we can throw out of our big personnel or run out of our small personnel and get our matchups there. And so I think Sean McVay did a good job against the 49ers with that. And then you look at Luke Gifford and you're like, well, why can't the rookie and Nick Martin get in there? And it's like, well, even if Gifford wasn't in the game, it still wouldn't be Nick Martin. Because to my knowledge, Nick Martin hasn't practiced strong side back. He just doesn't play that position. So that's the other tough part is if you want to ask why he hasn't and hasn't been cross-trained because he lost the job to D. Winters at weak side backer. Okay, it's like, we'll get him some inside reps, get him some strong side reps or something so he could potentially, be a factor in a football game. But to my knowledge, he hasn't. He's a weak side linebacker, and he's playing behind Winters. And even when Winters left the game for a short bit a couple weeks ago, it was Curtis Robinson that got into the game. So clearly the 49ers and Robert Saleh don't trust the rookie right now to be in the places he needs to be. And, and it's nice to think that you could just plug a player in, but in reality, they have to be able to know be assignment sound. And Dwayne kind of went into some details of what would happen there. And he's certainly not going to go play a position he hasn't been practicing at. So to my knowledge, he's a weak side linebacker, and that's it right now. And he's behind some guys even there, which is unfortunate because he's a top 75 pick. He's a 3rd round pick you would expect. And linebackers are typically a position that can get in and play early in the NFL. And he's super athletic, showed some flashes in the preseason. But at this point, I don't see a path for him to play unless both D. Winters and Curtis Robinson are somehow banged up, because he's not going to play for Luke Gifford because he doesn't even play that position.
Yeah, it's concerning that they wouldn't try to find a way to get this guy on the field to me, because why would you waste a pick that high, especially when that was such a focus on this draft, right? Drafting rookies that can make an impact right now, guys that can contribute immediately. And so you're kind of thinking that that's probably what they're one of the high things on their evaluation chart for a guy is how NFL ready is this guy, and how, and part of that has to be, well, if he doesn't work out at this one position, can he play somewhere else? And you would have to think that they would have that in their foresight. It's baffling to me that this team did not develop him.
It's the style of player he is too. And Dwayne, you can speak to this, being, Gifford's a certain style of player, and a strong side linebacker is has a different role and different expectations than a weak side linebacker. And on top of that, Nick Martin, he's athletic. He's a good football player, can fly to the football. He's a good blitzer, but he's only 225 pounds. And that's just traditionally not what you're looking for in your strong side linebacker, right?
Nope, it's you look at it like this. If you're going 13 personnel, if I'm gonna match up 13 personnel, I'm gonna go with 5 down. I'm gonna go with 5 down defensive linemen. Okay, that's gonna give me a better job of stopping the run, and it's a better matchup for me across the board. And when you got a linebacker that's 225 pounds, we had one like that a long time ago, Lee Woodall, but he played the weak side linebacker spot, so he was protected most of the time. All right. But a 225-pound linebacker playing Mike is no way because he has to cover. He's going to be in the bubble most of the time, and he's going to get a guard on him most of the time, or he's going to get a tight end blocking him. So that's the thing. You said it, Brian, that he can't do that. To me, he's at 225 pounds. He's just a strong safety, really. And does he have the coverage ability to play strong safety? Not so sure about that. But that's what he is. He is a small side linebacker that when you're playing a lot of teams that play 11 personnel, that's the guy that you want in the game. But when you playing a heavy personnel like 13 and 12, you don't want that guy in there because he's got to battle a tight end. And that's not his forte.
Yeah.
And the other side to this, however, if I can just play devil's advocate, is I think that a lot of 49ers fans would look at this game today and say, I don't really care if he does everything perfect. I just want a guy that can go out there and chase and tackle and not whiff trying to bring down an offensive player on the other team who's out in space. And today you saw so many missed tackles at the safety position, at the linebacker position. And to me, I just don't know what this 49ers defense does well right now. I don't know if there's a single thing that you can point to and say, well, at least they have this one redeeming quality because they didn't cover well. I guess they if you had to really get into the weeds, you could say, well, they had 8 quarterback hits against Matt Stafford today. And that's more than they've had in a lot of weeks. But Stafford's a guy who's going to probably take a few more hits than some other quarterbacks because he's not very mobile. He's going to stand and deliver in the pocket, and he's going to wait till that last second to get the ball out. So I think that number's a little skewed. But, I mean, this team, coverage, not very good. Rushing the passer, you had 1 sack. Tackling, you missed a bunch of tackles out there. So, I mean, would Nick Martin maybe be somewhat of an improvement over what we've been seeing out here? Because, I mean, it seems to me like if you can just put a guy who's got some speed out there and can make a damn tackle in space, that might be an upgrade over what the 49ers got going for them right now.
Yeah, and if not strong side backer, maybe when they have that dime linebacker spot that's generally played by a safety, maybe he could do some of that for you. Does he give you a different look and potentially advantage that maybe Pinnock or Jair Brown doesn't give you in those situations as a third safety or third, nickel linebacker, they call it, dime linebacker or whatever. It's just, I think it's just a numbers game for him. Similarly to the 5th round running back in Jordan James, because he's a player I would love to see on the field. And clearly I think the 49ers have to give a little different look at running back and not just be so Christian McCaffrey centric on offense. And we saw some of that today. I think you want to talk a little bit more about that, Eric. But was there a situation where you get the offensive rookie in there, get Jordan James the ball, get him a couple of touches and let him know what NFL football is like. And, but it's a numbers game for those guys, for Nick Martin and James right now, and Siegel as well. If you're going to be the 4th safety, it's just a numbers game for some of those guys, and they're going to have to wait their turn and play behind some of these guys. And who knows, maybe a game like this is like, oh, well, we got to figure out how to get these guys on the field because what's out there is not doing it for us.
Yeah, I mean, you got to find a way to get some speed out there on offense, right? Like I know we keep saying Ricky Pearsall, when he gets back, he's on the back of a milk carton too. I mean, where the hell is he? And Jordan James could be a guy who has game-changing type speed on this offense where you really don't see it. I mean, Kendrick Bourne gonna break away for a 60-yard touchdown? I don't think so. I mean, Jawan Jennings isn't out running anybody. I mean, he was fumbling the ball pretty well today. I know he did have a touchdown and 71 yards receiving, but I mean, fumbling that ball when you had the field position that you did in that situation, when you're already down 14-0, that was just, to me, that felt like the tipping point in this game. If I had to pick one moment, I know it was early on, but at that point, it just felt like, man, this is just an avalanche. And the 49ers having to dig their way out was going to be next to impossible, I thought, at that point. They did get it to a one-score game a few times, but to circle back to the inefficiency in running the football, maybe we can get into that on the other side. But, I mean, a big fourth down stop, and when you're already down 21-0 in the red zone, some really awful, ugly stuff from the 49ers run game today. Mac Jones didn't look terrible. He I thought, did his job to the best of his ability, and we can get into those things next on the other side. But man, just a really bad day for the 49ers defense. But if I can go to our guy Tim in the chat for one positive note to end this defensive discussion on, Tim Cassidy says, at least we can keep Robert Saleh next year now. And maybe you can after some of the 49ers defensive performances we've seen as of late. That was pretty funny, Tim. So let's take a quick break here. On the other side, we'll get into some of the woes that plagued the 49ers offense. Christian McCaffrey, I mean, what's going on, man? This guy cannot seem to find a seam. Let's get into all that and more next on the Locked On 49ers Squad Show.
Today's show is brought to you by our friends over there at Peloton. Look, folks, it's time to break through the busiest time of the year with a brand new Peloton cross-training Tread Plus that's powered by Peloton IQ. It's Peloton's most elevated technology and equipment yet that gives you real-time guidance, and it gives you endless ways to move, whether you want to work out by yourself or if you want to work out with your favorite instructor, like my personal favorite, Alex Toussaint. He always gets me fired up to tackle the day. And the thing I like about Peloton, it helps me achieve more in less times. They have features that help you plan, stay motivated, track your progress, and Peloton IQ also provides personalized workout plans and recommendations. That's something that I use right now during the busiest time of the year covering the NFL. They plan my workouts for me based on my mood, my vibe, and also my favorite instructors. So make sure you check it out and use it, because it also helps you correct your form in real time, and it maximizes your reps. It counts your reps so that you can do it smarter, safer, and more efficient. Let yourself run, lift, flex, push, and go. Explore the new Peloton cross-training Tread Plus at onepeloton.com.
Welcome back to the Locked On 49ers Squad Show. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel, joined by four-time Super Bowl champion Dwayne Board and host of the Locked On 49ers podcast, Brian Peacock. And we were just going over about some of the issues that plague this 49ers defense, but let's be real, it wasn't just the defense who wasn't doing their job. Maybe that's the most obvious failure for the 49ers today, but there were really some failures pretty much all over the field today. And another one was this 49ers run game again, and maybe not the entire run game, because Brian Robinson actually looked pretty good, and we'll get to that in a minute. But let's start with Christian McCaffrey. 12 rushing attempts for 30 yards, 2.5 yards per carry, and a long of 5. That sounds extraordinarily pedestrian for a guy who's supposed to be the feature back of a Kyle Shanahan offense, a guy who has been one of the best running backs in the league for the last couple of years. And I mean, stop me if you've heard me say this before. I mean, it seems like we've had this conversation more often than not. In at least 80% of the shows that we've done, it's been, what is going on with Christian McCaffrey? Is it just the blocking? Is it what is happening? But then I look at Brian Robinson and he's finding some lanes. So what the hell is going on with Christian McCaffrey, Brian? What do you think is the biggest issue he's facing right now?
I know we've talked in the past. Maybe he's lost a step. Maybe he's lost a half a step. Whatever that is, he wasn't a burner coming out of college anyway. I don't think that's necessarily it. He's still running hard. I love the quote from Kyle Shanahan, because that's really the thing that is the thing that people forget about Christian McCaffrey, is how hard he tries and how important every yard is to him. And that's why he doesn't want to leave the field. But I think keeping him healthy and keeping him fresh is important. And just showing defenses a different look is important. Teams know what to expect, and they know what they're trying to stop. The number one thing they're trying to do is exactly what they've done to the 49ers offense most games this year, is stop 23. And so give them a different look. It's a different pacing, it's a different set of eyes back there. And I think it's helpful to have Brian Robinson touch the ball a little bit more. It was 12-8 carries, 12 for Christian McCaffrey, 8 for Brian Robinson in this game. I think that's the ratio they have to stick with going forward, but continue to use Christian McCaffrey as much as you can out of the backfield as a receiver, because it's clearly a valuable asset for this football team right now. And I think it's just a little bit of everything. I think, maybe there aren't as many holes. I mean, you saw it when they went up against teams that aren't as good defending the run, they ran better. And when they go up against teams that are a little bit better defending the run, they have a tough time. And that's what teams are trying to stop. So I think it's very clear that the smart thing to do is work in some other running backs and give teams some other looks, change the pace a little bit, and save Christian McCaffrey from, an early NFL grave, essentially, from not, keep him healthy for the rest of the year, keep him healthy in December, not wear down his body for ensuing seasons as well. And I think it might make him actually better in the carries he gets if he's not touching the ball 30 times a game. And he still leads the league by a lot in touches, even though he only had 12 carries today. You see a guy like Jonathan Taylor was second in the league coming into the day in carries. He got, I think, 30 carries and ran for 9 touchdowns and 7,000 yards. And he's still behind Christian McCaffrey in touches this year.
Yeah, and McCaffrey, I mean, he was effective as a receiver today. He had 8 receptions for 66 yards. And as you were alluding to, this is kind of the more important role for him right now in the 49ers offense, is him as a receiver, which would inevitably lead one to believe maybe more work for Brian Robinson, right? And if anything is going to get this guy more carries, I think it has to be this game, right? Like, he consistently showed you something. He had a nice touchdown run, a grown man touchdown run, where he looked to be dead to rights and just destroyed that Rams defender on his way into the end zone. That's one of the few bright spots from today's game for sure. That was a fun run to watch, but it's a different running style than you get with McCaffrey in how punishing he is and how downhill he is. And maybe that's what this offense needs right now. And I'm not saying to just completely go away from McCaffrey or that Brian Robinson is a better running back, because he's not, and that's not what I'm saying. But maybe just for the situation that the 49ers find themselves in, give Brian Robinson some more touches, man. And one thing that, Dwayne, you brought this up, like at the very beginning of the season, you mentioned maybe some 2 running back sets where you would see a Brian Robinson Jr. and Christian McCaffrey on the field at the same time, maybe use some motion action to get McCaffrey spread out wide, and then see what you got. But I have not seen this pretty much at all from the 49ers this year. Dwayne, do you think the 49ers should maybe try to dial up some of that 2 running back action?
I think they should. I think it would, because you're going to create matchups again. And when you don't get creative, when you come out with 11 personnel, teams know that, hey, McCaffrey's in the backfield, you got a tight end in the game and 3 wide receivers, and his alignment tells you if he's running the ball. So I would definitely go with some 2 back. And Brian Robinson, we've seen the way he runs. You said it best. He's a punishing guy. He punishes guys when he run the ball. And you need to create. And Cal is a creative guy. He should create some offense to get McCaffrey the ball out in the open field, a quick check down or something. And Brian Robinson can help the offensive line block and just, again, get the ball in McCaffrey's hands after he passes the line of scrimmage. Because right now, at the line of scrimmage, you don't see him breaking very many tackles. When he gets tackled at the line of scrimmage or behind the line of scrimmage, he goes down. You don't see that you see it in Brian Robinson. When he gets at the line of scrimmage, one guy tackles him, he breaks the tackle, goes to the next guy. And he did that today on that touchdown that he ran. It was more than one guy that he ran over to get to the end zone. And we haven't seen that out of Christian McCaffrey. He's not that guy anymore. And you see him once he get in the field too, he can make one guy miss, but you don't see him make 2 guys miss anymore. So with that, maybe he's lost his step. Maybe he hasn't. Maybe he just needs a year to get himself back to where he was, because he missed a lot of ball last year.
Yeah, it's a great point, Dwayne, about the big plays, because that's one thing that's been missing on the ground from Kyle Shanahan's offense and really, helps the yards per carry. Is in the past, they've always had big runs and big plays out of their run game. It's a big play run game. And whether it was Raheem Mostert or Matt Breida or Christian McCaffrey in 2023, and we just haven't seen that from him this year, where if you go back and look at Christian McCaffrey's performances in 2023, you'll see a 60-yard run here, a 58-yard run here, right? at most you're getting out. Maybe you get 112, maybe a 15, but those breakaway runs aren't happening for Christian McCaffrey. And then on the Brian Robinson thing, I do. Kyle Shanahan needs to he flat out has to figure out a post Kyle Juszczyk world in his offense. And could Brian Robinson be a part of that? Is he comfortable doing some of the fullback stuff? Because there's not that much fullback stuff to even need a full-time fullback. Can you have more of a short yardage halfback that can maybe be a little bit more dangerous when you do give him the ball? Maybe have more utility as a runner. You saw that play down by the goal line where you have the it's the classic kind of play action. Then the fullback leaks out. If you have a more athletic player there, does Brian Robinson actually convert that? And so I know I talked about Cam Scatterbo in the draft as being that guy for me for the 49ers. I didn't really see him as a pure tailback in Kyle Shanahan's offense because of that speed, because of the big play, one cut, hit the hole and go. So need speed in the backfield for sure at tailback, but a player who's capable and physical enough to do some fullback stuff and be a bigger back, but have a lot more utility as a runner and a playmaker. I think that's where the 49ers have to go with that fullback position going forward.
And we've seen. Oh, go ahead, Dwayne.
On that big play that Brian just was talking about, it was a great fake. It was a naked bootleg by Jones, okay, and he dumped the ball off to Juszczyk. If that would have been Brian Robinson, he might have walked in because that one guy was going to bring him down. But Juszczyk caught the ball, and it was a one-on-one tackle. It was a mano-mano tackle with the linebacker, and I think Brian Robinson would have broke that tackle and walked in for a touchdown. What do you think, Brian?
I think so. And look, Kyle, it's not to say anything about Kyle Juszczyk. He's been a really good player for a long time, but Juice just doesn't have a lot of juice as a playmaker and getting the ball in his hands. And really throughout the years, most of Kyle Juszczyk's biggest plays are he's just wide open because the defense doesn't look at him, doesn't care about him, and kind of let him go and forgets about him a little bit, and just leaks out. And so having a player on the field with a little bit more utility, a little more ability with the ball in his hands, I think would be helpful as long as that player is up to being able to play a quasi fullback role at times is Brian, because some running backs wouldn't be willing to do that too. So it's not going to be a role for everybody, but Kyle Shanahan needs to be on the lookout and scouting the college game or maybe some NFL backups for potential role to replace Kyle Juszczyk in this offense, because Kyle Juszczyk's not going to play forever. And so he's got to figure that out or just do away with it completely.
Yeah, the juice might not be worth the squeeze with Kyle Juszczyk anymore. And Brian Robinson did show some signs with Washington last year. Like he had a really good season with the Commanders last season. And I think he showed specifically last year that he could catch the ball out of the backfield pretty well too. So he is a guy that can be utilized in multiple different situations. He's a guy you can trust with pass protection on third down. I just don't understand what this guy has to do to get on the playing field more. It's a little baffling to me. And before we move off of this, I kind of want to highlight one specific play. And it's that we've talked about, we've kind of been bouncing around that play a few times so far today, but I want to dive into it. That fourth down, it was that 4th and 1, I believe, when the 49ers were down 21-0 in the red zone. And you ran the ball on 3rd and 2 or 3rd and 3 and weren't able to get it. And you go right back to the run, which I don't really have too big of a problem with because I feel like you should be able to get one yard. But we've seen the 49ers utilize that quarterback sneak pretty well. I was kind of wondering why they didn't really use that in that situation. But regardless, I was concerned watching that play. Like that one play kind of concerned me. Watching McCaffrey get out into space. He had one guy to beat, and he tried to beat him to the sideline. Couldn't do that and couldn't break the tackle. He gets stuffed, and the 49ers turned the ball over. Really bad situation for the 49ers to find themselves in. Did this play like kind of ring any alarm bells for you guys the way it did for me in that sense, where it just kind of signifies to me that McCaffrey just might not be that guy anymore?
It's alarming. It kind of hits everything. I can see what you're saying, because it's alarming because the 49ers should be able to get one yard, right?
And Kyle Shanahan run game. What? Anytime you want 1 yard, you should get it.
You should be able to say, "Hey guys, we're gonna get a yard here." So sorry, it's going to be first down. And so that's one aspect of it. So you can't block it up right. And you have this all-world running back who, A, can't get the corner with just flat speed. can't break the tackle he needs to try to get, so yeah, there's a lot that is kind of alarming about that one play. And so the call is one thing, but the ability not to get it with the call is probably the more alarming part.
I think they should have went with Kittle on that fourth down play. I would have put him out wide, Kittle out wide, motion him down inside, and I would have thrown him a quick pass, and he would have caught it. And he was only for a yard, but you could have got him open for a yard if they come up with a scheme. And
Yeah.
like that fourth down play, it was a no scheme play to me. And when you get into a situation where you gotta get a fourth down, you ran it on third and 1, and you didn't get it. You better come up with something smarter than what you just did. I thought it was a play that he didn't look at his call sheet unless it was Gator got on and covered it up, so he didn't know what it was. All he saw was orange. Oh, orange! That's my orange play. Oh, that's wrong.
Yeah. Well, the problem with George Kittle is they would call him for a phantom penalty if it's fourth down, like they did later on in the game. And then all of a sudden, Mac Jones kind of, pretty much ends the game. I don't know if the 49ers would have won that game if they convert that first down anyway, but just a phantom penalty for no reason on the George Kittle motion. And but I'm with you, Dwayne, on all the George Kittle stuff. I talk about it with Croc every single week. He should have 10 to 12 targets minimum. He had 9 targets, caught all 9 of them in this game, was the best player on the field for the 49ers on both sides of the ball. They got to feature him probably a little bit more, whether it's fourth down or first down. And so that's another thing going forward. He's their best player, is their biggest mismatch right now. And so, yeah, more George Kittle is going to make the 49ers a better football team pretty much across the board. And so that's really a big one. And yeah, when it comes to the play call, you got to be able to get it. It's 4th and 1. I don't care what the play call is. Go get it.
Well, if it was Tom Brady and he had Gronk, who do you think Tom Brady would have went to?
He would have kept it on the sneak.
Yeah. Great. I was just about to say the same thing. I think Tom Brady would have snuck forward for that first down, which is kind of what I thought the 49ers were going to do. You saw him do it later in the game in a similar situation where Mac Jones, I can't remember if it was a 3rd and 1 or a 4th and 1, but same situation. And Mac Jones did the same thing that we've seen him do time and time again this season, which is even having 2 bad knees on the injury report this week, still push forward.
That's why I think it's actually a pretty good play call because, and Dwayne, you know better than anybody, as a defensive lineman, it's 4th and 1. The offense can do so many different things, but you've got to control the interior first because they could just go QB sneak. They could just hand it to him right up the middle. So you would think you would have an advantage going to the edge because they have to have, resources on the defense to try to stop the interior part of your run game as well. And this Niners still couldn't get it.
Well, the biggest thing is on 4th and 1, every defense in the league, they're going to pinch their 2 tackles, okay, for the sneaking. They're going to pinch the tackles in A gaps. And guess what gap is open? It's soft. The B gap. Because the back's got to take the B gap, right? So the B gap is where it's at. Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, it's crazy that sometimes the game gets out of hand. We're sitting at home watching the game. Oh no, I wouldn't have called that. I wouldn't have called that sneak. But hey, I would have called it and let the quarterback handle it. Let him go to B gap. All he got to do is hit B gap and roll. He's got the first down. Stick the ball out. It's over.
Yeah, and we've seen Matt convert that play a ton of times this year so far, but I do see what you're saying, Brian, where maybe the 49ers saw something in the Rams defense they were just plugging up that middle or expecting it. And obviously these 2 teams know each other better than damn near any other 2 teams in the NFL know one another. So there is a lot of familiarity there, which I think also played into kind of what we were talking about earlier, why Sean McVay went to his tight ends so heavily, because the 49ers were probably gearing up to try and stop Devontae Adams and Puka Nacua, and 49ers even got a little bit of help with Devontae Adams coming up with that what looked like a back injury and coming out for a large part of this game. And when I think he came back for a couple plays, it just didn't really look right afterwards. He looked very, very ginger out there with that back injury. But overall, the 49ers offense, inconsistent at best, I think would be a good word to describe it, and pretty bad would be how some others would maybe describe what we saw today. But there was a bright spot, as we were just kind of talking about, George Kittle, and honestly Mac Jones too. I thought Mac Jones deserves a lot of credit for keeping the 49ers in this game and bringing the team back. And let's get into that on the other side. Let's maybe try and find some positives here to talk about on the Locked On 49ers Squad show. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. Today's show is brought to you by Rippling. If you're a business owner, here's the truth. SaaS promised to make work easier, SaaS, but now the average company is buried by hundreds of apps that slow down your teams and simply don't work together. That's not SaaS, that's sad. Software is a disservice. Or software as a disservice, excuse me. That's why you need Rippling. Rippling is the unified platform for global HR, payroll, IT, finance, all in one place. They've helped millions of businesses replace a mess of disconnected tools with one system designed to give leaders clarity, speed, and control. By uniting your employees, teams, and departments in one system, Rippling removes the bottlenecks, busy work, and silos your software that you've created. Everything from onboarding to payroll to IT access runs automatically and in perfect sync. It's seriously simple to use and gives companies one source for truth for their people, data, and everything they touch. And right now, you can get 6 months free when you go to rippling.com/lockedonnfl. Learn more at rippling.com/lockedonnfl. That's rippling.com/lockedonnfl for 6 months free. Terms and conditions apply. Welcome back to the Locked On 49ers Squad show. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel, joined by Dwayne Board, 4-time Super Bowl champion, and Brian Peacock, host of the Locked On 49ers. And we've been talking a lot about the 49ers issues today, but and there were a lot, rightfully so, but there were some bright spots, and I can't get too down on the 49ers right now, even though this is a big loss. It is still just their first loss in the division. They're still 6-4, and you look at the schedule coming up, and you got a lot of winnable games on the schedule. So the 49ers are nowhere near dead in the water, and I don't think it is all doom and gloom, although there are some very serious flaws with this team. One thing that could have been a massive problem for this team, which we've seen in years past, is an injury to your starting quarterback. And that's what obviously the 49ers have been dealing with all season long, with Brock Purdy being out, with the toe injury. And you have Mac Jones coming in and just doing his thing, man. I mean, Mac 10 doing the most he could to keep the 49ers in this game and bring them back. He had 319 yards passing, 33 of 39. That's pretty solid completion percentage there, slinging the rock for Mac Jones. 3 touchdowns. He did have a pick, although the pick, I'm not worried about that interception at all. It actually ended up being a better play for Mac Jones to throw that pick in that situation than taking the sack on 4th down. It ended up being a better field position for the 49ers defense at the end of the day. But Mac Jones, man, I mean, specifically, the play that impressed me the most was in the red zone, where he kind of got that scramble drill going on. Like he tried to roll out to his right when he felt the pressure in the pocket and nowhere to go that direction. So he spun around and ran to his left. And all of a sudden there's Jake Tonjes, who just kind of leaked out from the line into the flat, and he found him and scored a totally off script, off schedule play that I thought Mac did very, very well. He also hit Kendrick Bourne down the field on an off schedule play in this one. And ultimately, Mac Jones did, I thought, the most he possibly could do to keep this team in the game. And I'm amazed every week that the 49ers are able to continue to win with him at backup quarterback. I mean, not just with him specifically, but they're able to have a backup quarterback go out there and win games at this rate. It's a luxury, man. And a lot of people, I think, might, bring up that Mac Jones maybe should, they might bring up a quarterback controversy or whatever. I don't really want to go into that because there is none. Mac Jones himself has said that there is no quarterback controversy in San Francisco, but I do think he's maybe going to play himself into a starting quarterback job next year if he keeps it up. I mean, Dwayne, how impressed have you been with Mac Jones doing what he's been doing for this 49ers offense?
Well, today I was really impressed with him. He was only, well, he wasn't even sacked. He was only hit one time today. Quarterback pressure only once. And the thing that a lot of guys get their head down, the 49ers was down 21 points going into the second half, and Matt Jones put them in the end zone with 3 minutes and 10 seconds or something left on the clock. And that gave them a chance before they went in the locker room at halftime and not going in down 21-0. But the guy, he's gritty. He's a gritty guy. You look at him, you go back and look at the last time they played the Rams, and we keep bringing it up, was, man, they was knocking them around big time. And he could have easily laid down against the Rams this time, but he didn't. And he's showing a lot of fire. And right now, you could say he's probably the second best guy on the offense right now. I might be wrong. Yeah, I mean, with Kittle back, he was number one. He's number one, but the second guy is Mac Jones right now. He's the one that's playing ball, and the other guys got to pick it up around him. The offensive line did a great job today, protecting him, and now I believe that the offensive line is beginning to believe in Mac Jones. They don't want him laying on the ground helping them up.
He's winning a lot of people over, and to be fair to him, it wasn't his fault that he was being overdrafted and being talked about as potentially the number 3 pick in the draft, and the Niners trading up for him, and fans were like started to hate Mac Jones just because they're like, no, you don't trade up to number 3 for Mac Jones. You got to take a bigger swing than Mac Jones, and that's not his fault. I think Jake Moody, it was very similar. It's like he was a 3rd round kicker, which made it all so much worse. If he was just some undrafted kicker, they brought in, it's like, oh, whatever, he missed some kicks, we'll get a different
Trey Lance. Trey Lance was the same guy the Niners drafted in that one.
Everyone wanted Trey Lance to succeed. Nobody even wanted Mac Jones to be a 49er. And then he comes in and I think also kind of humbled himself. And obviously he knows what this opportunity is for him. And he wants to be the next Sam Darnold and turn this into a starting job for him somewhere else. So it's really important for him, and seeing the way he's playing has been pretty fun to see, and see him turn around some fans that maybe didn't like Mac Jones because they didn't want the 49ers to draft him. Now, I still don't think he should have been a 1st round pick or the 49ers pick at number 3 either. But that doesn't mean he's not playing really good football right now and earning himself another look potentially as a starting quarterback, maybe for a team next year, depending on how things go in the offseason. But he's been so valuable to the 49ers. If a team wants Mac Jones, he's on a 2-year deal. They're going to have to pony up something significant in trade because he's been too valuable. And I don't think, with what Kyle Shanahan's been through, I don't think he wants to give up a really good backup quarterback.
No, Adrian Martinez time is not, I think, what we want for the 49ers next year or at any point in time this year. But if you were to entertain a trade for Mac Jones, what would you reasonably expect the 49ers to be able to get back?
I think, late day 2 pick, early day 3 pick, round 3, round 4, I think you'll get those offers. Is that enough to talk you out of Mac Jones? And I don't think it is. I think it would have to be closer to a 2nd round pick. And I saw in the chat someone asked that question and throw out a 2nd and 5th as a realistic trade. I think that's where you have to really start to consider it. And I think part of it is that of kind of doing right by each other. I think Mac Jones really helped out the 49ers by signing maybe even a below market deal. He might have been able to get more money somewhere else. And he agreed to the 2-year thing because he wanted to come play for Kyle Shanahan and play for a real offensive coordinator. He literally had a defensive coordinator calling plays for him at one point in New England. Right. And then a coach that was getting fired in Jacksonville after that. So, and he helped the 49ers out a lot. And I think for the 49ers, it might be a situation where they're like, okay, Mac, we want to do right by you as well. And we could just hold you hostage for another year, but you have an opportunity to start as long as, it's kind of like the DeForest Buckner thing, right? It's like, okay, go find that deal somewhere. If someone's going to make you a starter, you better bring back a 2nd plus, right? You got to bring back blank, whatever that is, to make us feel good about it too. And we're not going to go send you to the Jets or the Browns either. We'll send you to the Steelers, maybe somewhere that might actually be good for your career, and we can all help each other out.
Yeah, and I think that it's been such a blessing for the 49ers to have Mac Jones on this roster. You see the veteran presence that he adds to the just that he brings with him, and he doesn't really seem to panic in any of these situations. And he and George Kittle, let's transition into George Kittle now, both playing till the very end of the whistle in this one. And that, I mean, Dwayne, it's got to make a guy like you, an old school football guy, just happy, right? Like after watching this just dog water game where the 49ers are getting worked in every phase, to see Kittle go out there and just that touchdown, man, how incredible was that body control for him to stop on the sideline, pivot and dive for the pylon and just barely snag it before falling out of bounds. I mean, and for him to do it in a moment where it just the game's done essentially. And George Kittle says, I don't care, man. I don't care that I've been injured for more than half the season so far. I'm getting my 9 touches and I'm getting a tutty. And Dwayne, for a guy to just play through to the very end of the game like that, what's that do for like for anyone who's into the old school type of football? What's that do for your head, man?
Well, I know it was back in the day that would have been up on the projector first thing Monday morning in the team meeting. They would have showed that in the meeting and say, hey, this is what we're looking for. Guys who play to the end and guys who want to win at all costs. Guys who just don't pack it in and go eat their lunch at halftime. This is what you're looking for. And those are heart and soul guys. And you got to get more of those guys. You need more of those guys on the offense. You need more of them on the defense. He never quits. And I guess that's that mentality of him liking wrestling, even though it's not real. You play until the end, till somebody taps out. And he doesn't tap out. He's one that's going to fight you to the very, very last straw.
It's the energy too. If the Niners were down 21-0. You're down 3 scores. George Kittle's getting a first down. He's pointing. He's doing his thing. And all of a sudden you're like, oh yeah, I forgot there's a home game for the 49ers. You start to hear the crowd again, start to see that energy. And I think the players, the fans, everyone feeds off that. And the 49ers put together a little bit of a comeback. It fell short, but to see the effort he gave at the end of the game, to be honest, that's kind of garbage time. Maybe he shouldn't even have been in the game at that point. McCaffrey should definitely not have been in the game.
McCaffrey definitely should not have been out there.
That drive. Yeah. Just like the last drive of the last game, I said the same thing. It's like, come on, you got to find some places to shave some carries off of this guy's workload. But he's a heart and soul player, man, and he's one of a kind in that he's so good as a run blocker and a receiver. But it's the energy he brings as well, and how much flatter would the 49ers team be without George Kittle out there in this game? Oh, yeah. Is it an even more lopsided score? I think it would be.
Yeah, we talked about – go ahead, Dwayne.
This is what you pretty much answered the question that you got George Kittle play to the end, and you watch some of the receivers. This is what gets me. They catch the ball and go down. I mean, it's like they don't fight to get the extra yardage. It's just like, hey, my job is to catch the ball. Your job is to catch the ball and get in the end zone, buddy. It ain't catch the ball and fall on the ground like you're a baby cradling your bottle, man. You got to do something.
Dude, I'm with you. Could you have seen? I felt the same way about some of the safeties at the end of the game. It felt like some of the players were checked out a little bit. It's like you got to still put your nose in there, man. You think Ronnie Lott, if he's down a couple of scores, is not going to light somebody up when they're trying to put another point on that defense? I mean, he might even hit you even harder than he would have in the first quarter in those cases.
Oh, he would have. He would have. And then the guys around him, he would have yelled at them too. Yeah, talk about your own teammates yelling at them to do something.
A lot of guys making a lot of business decisions at the end of this game. George Kittle, not one of them, man. And I think that's we talking about that spark that he brings, that intangible of just being an energy guy, a heart and soul guy. And you see what the 49ers offense looks like when they have that guy. And the defense, though, the flip side of that coin, they're missing their heart and soul guy, Fred Warner. And you can see it all through this defense. The chemistry is just gone. It is not there. And when George Kittle is moving the ball, like the 49ers run game, if you want to find a positive, what we're trying to do in this segment here, we're trying to find the positives. The offense, I mean, you had Christian McCaffrey averaging 2.5 yards per carry and still put up 26 points. George Kittle in this offense, when he is featured, completely changes what this team does. And it's not just from what he's doing physically on the football field with the 9 receptions for 84 yards and a touchdown and a long of 20. He's energizing everybody, and it's the run game. It's the effort on every single play. It's holding your teammates accountable, what Ronnie would have done, right? And you're missing that on your defense. And I think that you see the effects of that on both sides of the ball in this game specifically in a microcosm, because the defense, like we said, checking out at the end of the game, making business decisions, not wrapping up, not tackling guys, missing assignments, just blown, leaving Malik Mustafa on an island out there against Devontae Adams. I mean, that maybe some of that stuff might still happen with Fred Warner out there, but a lot less of it would happen if Fred Warner's on the field, because he's going to be holding your, accountable at the end of that game. He doesn't care what the score is. You're wearing that SF on the helmet. You have a standard to live up to. A man's got to have a standard, right? And George Kittle, Fred Warner, those are the guys who set the standards for the 49ers offense and the 49ers defense. And you're missing that standard right now. And you see it coming back to this 49ers offense with Kittle making his presence felt today. And so if you want a positive for the 49ers, that's it right there, is that this 49ers offense can still be a pretty good offense in the NFL. You have a backup quarterback, Christian McCaffrey, doing next to nothing as a running back. I know he's still contributing as a wide receiver. You have, just a smorgasbord of mid at wide receiver, and you're still putting up 26 points against one of the better defenses in the NFL. Brian Robinson, the first rushing touchdown against the Rams defense all season long. He's the first guy to do that. So it comes in a losing effort, but there are some positive signs here. And you can, at this point, you're just kind of hoping that the team starts to get healthy, man. Maybe Ricky Pearsall comes back. Maybe Brandon Ayuk comes back. I'm hearing reports that Brandon Ayuk might not come back at all this season at this point. I've read a few things indicating that. So, don't hold your breath on him, but you just got to hope for the
running
best.
Around like pregame on the field before week 1 is like, he's looking pretty good. He might even be back earlier than we all expected. And then all of a sudden, Halloween comes and goes, and it's like, he might be getting close. Maybe next week. No, not next week. Same with Brock Purdy too. Same with Ricky Pearsall.
Did you guys hear the I'm going to put the tinfoil hat on here for a minute. Did you guys hear the Feliciano theory about why the 49ers have so many injuries? Because their practice facility is right next to a big electrical plant. And he was saying that the electrical waves coming from the plant is contributing to the 49ers' lack of health. Dwayne, you buying any of that, man? You ever practice near a power plant and feel a little weird after?
No, I practice next to a power plant in 2 places. One in Santa Clara, the same power plant, and then New Orleans too. The only thing about it in New Orleans, on a rainy day, the seagulls will come in and land on the transformer. You see them get popped by the big ball of feathers go blowing up in the air. So
the players aren't laying on the transformers. That would be one thing.
Yeah, no players are sitting on a transformer getting popped by the transformer. And I think that pretty much they've taken that out. It's not even active, I don't think, anymore. They just went to move it out. But I don't buy that.
Yeah, and a lot of people forget that the Niners have been practicing down there for a while, and even before Levi Stadium, right? So
way before. Yeah, but I don't buy the transformers. Who came up with that?
Whatever it is, maybe the Brandon Ayuk situation, maybe they're just running out like a body double. You know what I mean? I want to put it past Kyle Shanahan, honestly, to like throw out a decoy at practice, like go find a guy who looks like him, throw a helmet on him with the visor, like you can't really see. Maybe he's the same size, and you just have that guy go run around on the sideline. Hey, it looks like Brandon Ayuk's doing real well. Look at him moving around out there. Maybe I want to put it past Shanahan. You know what I mean? That's a guy who'll do anything and everything to just manipulate that injury report. Obviously, tongue in cheek. I don't think he's literally using body doubles, but it is hilarious how much the 49ers just play with everybody's emotions with these injuries. I'm kind of tired of it, man.
Yeah, I don't think the power plant is going to affect the ACLs. When someone's foot gets caught in the grass and another human like lands on it or whatever. But I do think the Ricky Pearsall one is maybe the weirdest of all, because they never put him on IR. He's got that PCL injury, so they thought he would be back in less than 4 weeks. He's been out since like week 2, hasn't he? I can't remember what. No,
I think his last game was week 3.
Yeah,
check.
I think Purdy was week 2. I don't remember what the last week was for Pearsall, but he could have gone on IR and been cleared to come back at this point. So clearly there's something different going on with how Pearsall feels. And he had talked about how he felt in his knee. And he's like, yeah, there's something, my knee feels looser. I can't remember what the wording was that he used, but when you heard Kyle Shanahan talk about the injury, it was minor and it was a PCL and he didn't think it would be out for very long. And so that's a weird one when the team and the player feel differently about the same injury.
Yeah, Pearsall, his last game was against the Jaguars. So he did play 4 games, but he hasn't played since September. It's been almost 2 months now since we've seen Ricky Pearsall on the football field. So quite a lot longer than just the 4 weeks that you would think with if you had gone on IR in the first place. And as you said, he never even hit the IR. So very weird situation with Ricky Pearsall. But nonetheless, I think if you're the 49ers, your best hope going forward is 1, the schedule. It's a lot of winnable games. And 2, you got to just hope that you get some regression to the mean, right? Like you have so many more injuries than everybody else. Like it's got to stop. It's got to stop eventually, right? Like it just math says that eventually this will get back to normal and the 49ers can maybe have a more healthy second half of the season. And look, they're 6-4, man. They're still a playoff contender. They're maybe not in the driver's seat of the NFC West like they would have been if they won this game. But this is a team that's still very much in the wild card picture, and you never know what might happen with the Rams down later on in the second half of the season, or the Seahawks, who also looked really damn good today. Dwayne, a couple of defensive touchdowns on in that Seahawks game. I'm sure you love seeing even though it's the Seahawks, I'm sure you love seeing a big man on the defensive side running the ball in, but we'll save that conversation for another day. The 49ers lose this one 42-26. A couple of positives from the offense, but overall, really just a disappointing day for this 49ers defense, for the 49ers run game, and for the 49ers as a whole against their rival, the Los Angeles Rams, who win this one 42-26 at Levi's. We'll be right back on the other side. We got to wrap this one up, put a bow on it, and get you ready for next week. We'll be right back here on the Locked On 49ers Squad Show. Today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. The NBA is back, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you miss the start of the game or want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. I love me some same game parlays. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team's making that late push. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com, sign up, and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Welcome back to the Locked On 49ers Squad Show. I'm your host, Eric Triple E. Engel, joined by 4-time Super Bowl champion Dwayne Board and host of the Locked On 49ers podcast, Brian Peacock. And guys, bummer that our voodoo predictions did not work out. You know, we all picked the Rams in this one. We all ended up being right, but none of us are happy about that. But the one positive about that is now we never have to do that again. We can just, for the rest of the season, just pick whoever the hell we want and ignore all those potential superstitions. But disappointed in the loss today. But are you guys, just briefly, are you guys feeling okay about the 49ers still, or are there like some serious red flags that you guys are just like, this team's going to fall off a cliff right now, maybe next week, like, or are you feeling that they could still maybe have an outside shot at making the playoffs?
Well, I think right now they have, Arizona can be a comeback game for them, and also a comeback game for the Cardinals too, because the week before they played Atlanta and they look real good. But I think this is a comeback game for them. It's a game that they can get things rolling if they get the right people in the right spots to make the right plays. It'll be a good game for them. A really, really good game. And again, going down to Arizona is going to be 49er faithful on the road again, because they travel well and they like Arizona, and it'll be red and gold instead of red and whatever the Cardinals are. What are they, red and white or whatever they bird?
Yeah, well, so worried about the 49ers, yes, but I was worried about the 49ers when they were still winning football games. So Look, they're 6-4. They only have to win 4 games to be 10 wins. I think 10 wins gets you in the playoffs. Winning the division is going to be a little bit more difficult. The Seahawks and the Rams are playing better right now. And that's a lot to overcome for the 49ers down the stretch to actually win the West and get in that way. But can they get a wild card spot over the Bears or the Vikings or whoever else is going to be in that mix for the 7th wild card spot or the 3rd wild card spot, the 7th playoff spot? Yeah, I think they can. I think the 49ers can win 4 more games, even as banged up as they are. You still have the Titans on the schedule. You still have the Cardinals on the schedule. But it probably is going to be a very interesting week 18, by the way, against the Seahawks. That might be a must-win, win and get in situation for the 49ers. You might be able to knock the Seahawks off the top spot in the West at the same time. It's going to be that rivalry game uniform as well for the 49ers in week 18. So I think it'll come down to the wire, but the 49ers can definitely win 4 more games and be a playoff team.
Yeah, looking ahead, reading the crystal ball, you got the Cardinals next, like we said. Then you get the home versus the Panthers. Then you go to Cleveland against the Browns, and then home versus the Titans. And I think that in that mix, you can find a way to win 3 of those 4. But the last 3 games of the season are going to be really interesting because you got the Colts, Indiana Jones, and Jonathan Taylor, who, like Brian said, has 50,000 rushing yards this year already and 42 touchdowns. But
neither McCaffrey or Taylor would be healthy by then anyway. So
yeah, that's a good point. But then you have the Bears, like you said, you have the Seahawks in week 18, but the Bears in week 17. That could low key be a very pivotal wild card matchup between the 49ers and the Bears. And the Bears are, they're still the Bears, but Caleb Williams is looking like he may have arrived in the NFL, and they are looking like a decent football team right now. So don't sleep on the Bears. Don't sleep on the Colts. I don't know if anyone's sleeping on the Colts anymore the way they started the season. And the Panthers, sneaky good team right now too. So it's not going to be easy, but I do think it's doable. We will see how this all plays out over the last couple months of the NFL season. But that's all the time that we got for you guys today here on the Locked On 49ers Squad show. A fun show, not so fun game. The 49ers lose to the Rams 42-26. They'll be back at it against the Cardinals in the desert next Sunday, 1:05 kick on Fox. So make sure you're tuning into that, and make sure you're tuning in to the Locked On 49ers Squad show, Locked On 49ers podcast. Make sure you're subscribed up on wherever you get your podcast or on YouTube, or why not both, man? Make it both. Never miss a show. Get both versions. Watch it 17 times. Just always tune in. Thanks so much to everyone for tuning in today. We'll see you next time. For Dwayne, for Brian, I'm your host, Eric, Triple E Engel. We'll see you next time. Peace.